the headlines of this hour on VTV News. A 130-day campaign to speed up construction of key projects. And Vietnam's tourism sees positive signs. In our world news, Middle East tensions continue to rise.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good morning. It is 8 a.m. local time in Hanoi, and you're watching VTV News. I'm Huyen Trân with the top stories. On Monday morning, Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm met with newly appointed ambassadors from Argentina, Algeria, Germany, North Korea, and Sweden as they presented their letters of credence to start their terms in Vietnam. During the meetings, Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm expressed hopes of enhancing bilateral relations with each country. He encouraged the Argentine ambassador to advance bilateral ties and refine the legal framework. With the Algerian ambassador, he stressed the importance of boosting trade cooperation and the exchange of delegations. The German ambassador was urged to contribute to strengthening the Vietnam-Germany strategic partnership. And for the North Korean ambassador, he emphasized fostering a close cooperation and developing party-state relations. Lastly, with the Swedish ambassador, he highlighted the potential for increased collaboration in clean energy and sustainable development. Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm on August 12 cabled a message of condolences to President of Brazil, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, over the plane crash in the country on August 9, which killed 61 people. Now, on Monday, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính conducted an inspection of the Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum following its recent periodic maintenance. He announced that the mausoleum will reopen to the public on August 13, 2024, after being closed for 2 months. Now, in the first half of 2024, the Presidential Palace historical site attracted over 1.6 million visitors, while the mausoleum welcomed around 430,000. The Prime Minister commended the mausoleum's management board for its crucial role in preserving the legacy of Vietnam's founding father. He highlighted their dedicated efforts in advising the country's leadership on the long-term care of President Ho Chi Minh's remains, ensuring their utmost safety. On the afternoon of August 12, member of the Politburo Standing Committee of the Secretariat, Lương Cường, chaired a conference and worked with Ho Chi Minh City on preparations to celebrate for the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South and national reunification, as part of his role as head of the Central Steering Committee for major holidays and important historical events of the country for 2023 to 2025.
At the conference, head of the steering committee Lương Cường emphasized that the experience of organizing the 70th anniversary of the Điện Biên Phủ victory shows that close guidance, early project preparation, and smooth coordination between agencies and relevant localities contribute to the success of the organization and achievement of its set goals. He requested that members of the steering committee focus on analyzing difficulties and challenges and propose recommendations and solutions to successfully celebrate the country's major holidays. Nguyễn Trọng Nghĩa, head of the Commission for Information and Education, concluding the discussion, praised the efforts of all involved and called for continued decisive leadership and the swift completion of the organizational project. He also stressed the importance of innovative methods and technology in the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South and national unification. With a focus on meaningful activities for the people, Ho Chi Minh City was requested to finalize the project by August.
The National Load Dispatch Center, or A0, has been transferred from the Vietnam Electricity Group, which is under the Committee for Management of State Capital and Enterprises, to the Ministry of Industry and Trade. The center has been restructured into a one-member limited liability company to manage the operation of the national electricity system and electricity market. This move aligns with the Politburo's resolution on the orientation of Vietnam's national energy development strategy and the Prime Minister's directives on the roadmap, conditions and structure of the electricity industry to develop various levels of the electricity market in Vietnam. Now, to promote the construction progress of many key traffic projects in Ho Chi Minh City, the city government has launched a 130-day emulation campaign with the spirit of working around the clock, aimed at ensuring that these projects are completed and inaugurated as soon as possible.
The Nam Le Bridge project is now in its final stages of construction and installation. The investor has already disbursed over 90% of the project's $18 million budget.
Once the bridge opens to traffic, with 2 lanes on each side, flow of vehicles will improve significantly, alleviating current traffic congestion.
The 130-day emulation campaign aims to complete around 15 packages of traffic projects. This ambitious task hinges crucially on successful site clearance.
We will enhance our coordination with local authorities to manage site clearance, including $14.7 million for Trần Quốc Hoan Street and $30.6 million for the Nguyễn Khoai Bridge project. Effective collaboration is essential to ensure that progress is maintained.
Ho Chi Minh City will start preparing for next year's project now to avoid repeating the issues of slow disbursement.
We need to begin preparations now to ensure that construction can start early next year, preventing the low disbursement rates seen in previous years.
After 7 months, Ho Chi Minh City has disbursed nearly $474 million of public investment capital, achieving about 15% of the annual target. To reach the goal of 95% for the year, city leaders are demanding that investors commit to monthly disbursement targets. Additionally, issues such as material for national key projects have been addressed, which will significantly speed up the construction progress moving forward.
Agriculture is the second largest contributor to greenhouse gas emissions in Vietnam, responsible for nearly 20% of the country's total emissions. This means that fostering a circular economy within the agricultural sector is not just a necessity, but an inevitable trend. It serves as a key solution for promoting a sustainable and efficient agricultural development.
Waste from pig farms has long been a persistent concern for communities. Each year, this factory processes 35 to 40 tons of agricultural byproducts and waste, effectively reducing pollution while producing soil-enhancing products that benefit agricultural crops. To further advance circular agricultural models by 2030, the Prime Minister has recently approved a project focused on the development and application of science and technology transfer. The project emphasizes 4 key areas: crop cultivation, aquaculture, livestock, and forestry.
The impacts of climate change, resource scarcity, environmental degradation, and epidemics are compelling countries to rethink their development and production strategies based on the fundamental principle that everything is an input for something else.
At the policy dialogue on enhancing international cooperation and multi-sectoral coordination on the circular economy in agriculture, scientists and organizations highlighted that Vietnam recognized the trend towards circular economic development early on, beginning with the documents from the 6th Party Congress and becoming more defined by the 13th Party Congress. The key challenge now lies in establishing effective support and promotion mechanisms.
Using straw byproducts into the production process. So increasing the price of straw automatically has a positive effect and then reduces the burning.
Vietnamese agriculture is currently benefiting from incentives provided by various trade agreements. However, these agreements also include provisions and commitments related to sustainable development. These requirements will serve as a catalyst for Vietnam to expedite its transition to a circular agricultural model, advancing towards green growth and low-emission farming.
Coming up next on VTV News. Vietnam to promote marine biodiversity research. And Vietnam's tourism sees positive signs. Welcome back to VTV News. Now, the Poison Control Center at Bạch Mai Hospital is currently treating several cases of carbon monoxide poisoning. Among these patients, 2 have sustained damage to their brain and heart, with multiple organs being affected, prompting the authorities to issue a warning to the public about the dangers of carbon monoxide poisoning in everyday life.
This mother and child were transferred from Nghệ An to Bạch Mai Hospital in a coma. With multiple organ damage, the family has been using a generator and toxic gas leaked into their bedroom, leading to widespread poisoning. 2 of the most critically ill members were brought to Bạch Mai Hospital, while 1 person was treated in Nghệ An.
The child patient has sustained brain damage, elevated cardiac enzymes suggesting myocardial damage, and increased muscle enzymes indicating damage to muscles, the liver, and other organs. Intensive measures are required, including intubation, mechanical ventilation, and specialized medications.
This patient was diagnosed with carbon monoxide poisoning. The patient worked in a restaurant kitchen, where shortly after turning on the industrial grill system that uses both gas and electricity, several individuals lost consciousness.
I turned on the gas stove, and everyone was talking normally. I suddenly lost awareness. I didn't notice any odor and just thought the kitchen lacked ventilation.
New risks have emerged, including poisoning from burning gases in everyday activities, as well as exposure to machinery or solvents.
Using fuels such as gas or other combustibles in enclosed spaces, like a closed room in the house, can pose a risk. Additionally, certain chemicals can produce carbon monoxide and they come into contact with the body.
Doctor advised that individuals suspected of carbon monoxide poisoning should be taken to a specialized medical facility for urgent treatment. Even mild cases require monitoring to prevent potential long-term issues.
Vietnam's sea is considered to have rich biodiversity, but is currently facing the risk of depletion of marine biological resources. Now, to overcome this situation, Vietnamese marine scientists are promoting research on marine biodiversity conservation. Information on species and reserves is the basis for formulating policies on marine biological resources.
Through research projects, scientists have recently discovered new marine species.
We obtained this sample during a survey in the waters off Con Dao Island. This is a species of sea slug that had not been previously discovered in the waters of Vietnam. This group has many characteristics that are very important for the ecosystem.
The Institute of Marine Resources and Environment successfully surveyed saltwater-filled lakes and caves on the islands of Ha Long Bay. The research results have identified 23 species of fish, 46 species of coral, and other species of fauna and flora.
In underground caves, the water is murky and the current is very strong. When surveying in the cave, we had to take advantage of the vertical tide with no current to dive. In the cave, it was very dark. However, there was very high biodiversity because creatures often crawl into the cave to hide and develop there.
This is a meaningful research project strengthening the dossier to propose UNESCO to once again honor Ha Long Bay as a World Natural Heritage. Solutions to conserve marine biodiversity are being implemented to prevent the risk of depleting marine biological resources.
In recent years, biodiversity has fluctuated very strongly. In some places, it has been reduced due to human impact, such as overexploitation by destructive fishing methods and environmental pollution. Currently, Vietnam is proposing 19 protected marine areas and 11 have already been established. Other areas are in the process of completing documents for approval.
Marine research is a field of science that requires specialized modern equipment. This is also something that scientists at the Institute are struggling with.
Current equipment is only suitable for research in coastal areas. Areas at depths of 50 m or more have mostly no equipment to collect samples or conduct research.
Investing in modern research fleets and automatic equipment capable of surveying deep sea areas will be the solution to increase efficiency in marine and ocean research.
Extreme heat persists this week in the central region, with risk of forest fire issued across the area. The highest temperatures from Ha Tĩnh to Ninh Thuận are forecast to reach 35 to 37 degrees Celsius, potentially exceeding 38 degrees Celsius in some areas. Humidity levels have dropped to 50 to 55%, exacerbating the risk of forest fires. The Forest Protection Department has issued a level 4 fire warning, highly dangerous, for forest areas from Thanh Hóa to Quảng Nam and in Bình Định, Phú Yên, and Ninh Thuận. Residents are advised to avoid using fire and refrain from activities that could ignite fires in or near forest areas. Đắk Lắk boasts the largest population of elephants in the country. However, over the past 40 years, the number of domesticated elephants has declined from 502 to just 35. The province has implemented a model to encourage natural reproduction as a conservation measure. Now, despite this, challenges persist due to the age of female elephants, necessitating a prompt action.
Bak An is in intensive care. Every week, doctors take blood samples to monitor her ovulation cycle until she becomes pregnant and gives birth.
We analyze her blood samples for progesterone levels to determine her ovulation cycle and pair her with male elephants for mating.
Elephant owners have tried to pair their animals up, but with limited success. Finding a suitable male is challenging. Even when found, the female may reject the male, or the male's owner may refuse the pairing.
Finding a male elephant is difficult because they can become aggressive and dangerous when they see humans during mating. We've asked the authorities for help.
In 2016, Đắk Lắk started a project to boost natural reproduction among domesticated elephants. Since then, 3 females have become pregnant, ending a 30-year reproduction gap.
After a day and night of labor, she gave birth with the doctor's help, but the baby stopped breathing.
The mother touched the baby with her trunk, realized it had died, and cried for a month, shedding tears like a human.
All the mother elephants in Đắk Lắk are old, and their muscles are no longer elastic, causing frequent difficulties during birth.
Elephants are not merely members, but also cherished cultural symbols of the Central Highlands. Currently, Đắk Lắk has only 5 domesticated elephants capable of reproduction, with the youngest female being 37 years old.
So they can become sexually active around mid-teens and can continue reproducing up until they're, into their 40s. So even if you start getting her to a male today, maybe she's 40 by the time she gives birth. Maybe she's older than 40. Maybe the 37-year-old female, maybe she's not even cycling. Problem is where the females are at, and with their age, and also when you factor in the age they're at and the lack of experience they have of successfully breeding, I'd say it's an incredibly fragile position.
The 3 female elephants that have given birth and are currently mating represent Dak Lak's last chance to breed domesticated elephants. As they age, the chances of successful breeding shrink, but conservation efforts persist, fueled by hope for natural miracles.
The Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism has recognized Phở Nam Định, or Nam Định beef noodle soup, and Mi Quảng, or Quảng noodles, as national intangible cultural heritage. Mi Quảng, a dish from Quảng Nam, has been enjoyed since the 14th century, known for its fresh ingredients and distinctive flavor. Nam Định beef noodle soup is celebrated for its unique, small, soft noodles and carefully selected spices, setting it apart from other regional variations. Both dishes reflect the rich culinary traditions of their respective regions. Now, in the first 7 months of this year, Vietnam welcomed about 10 million international visitors, about 51% year-on-year. Tourism is a bright spot for the Vietnamese economy, with many positive signals. The industry is likely to reach and exceed the target of 18 to 19 million international visitors this year.
Most tourism markets have shown positive growth. Major markets such as the UK, France, Russia, and Italy increased from 25 to 75%. The Australian and Indian markets also continued to grow, ranking in the top 10.
We found it online and a lot of people from India have been coming. So it looked very pretty, so we decided to make a trip.
With 10 million international visitors in the first 7 months of the year, Vietnam successfully recovered back to the level of its peak period in 2019 thanks to the effectiveness of the expanded visa policy and direct flights.
I appreciate the Vietnamese government for having strong recovery policies for tourism, especially in terms of the visa policy.
To take advantage of the 45-day visa for European visitors, many travel agencies create reasonably priced tours. Visitors can experience Vietnam by train or bus, instead of flying.
We focus on tourism products to explore history, culture, and heritages nationwide. We will organize events promoting Vietnamese tourism in major markets to attract international tourists to Vietnam.
After a series of promotional events in European countries, in September, the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism will organize a tourism promotion program combined with a cinematic campaign in the U.S. The event is expected to attract American tourists to Vietnam, striving to achieve the goal of welcoming 1.3 million American visitors in 2028.
Coming up next in our world news, Middle East tensions continue to rise. France, Germany, and UK issue a joint statement on the Gaza crisis. Now moving on to our world news, Israel has stepped up attacks on Hamas and Hezbollah targets and is preparing to respond to any incoming attacks. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin ordered the deployment of a guided missile submarine to the Middle East on Sunday. U.S. President Joe Biden said that the tensions in the Middle East could easily escalate into a regional war and vowed to work to prevent it. The Israeli military said it has struck about 30 Hamas military targets in the past 24 hours, including military bases, anti-tank missile sites, and weapon depots. At least 90 people were killed there. On the Hezbollah front, Israeli airstrikes in southern Lebanon on Monday killed 2 members of the force. Meanwhile, Hezbollah forces in Lebanon have also attacked several Israeli locations. The leaders of France, Germany, and the UK issued a joint statement on Monday, stressing that there can be no more delays in negotiating a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. The joint statement said that the conflict must end now and all hostages held by the Hamas must be released. The people of Gaza must be provided with urgent aid with no more delays. The three leaders also welcomed the efforts of Egyptian, Qatari, and the U.S. mediators to reach a ceasefire and release the hostages. Several rounds of ceasefire talks in Gaza have failed, except for a week-long ceasefire that is scheduled to last until the end of November 2023. The governor of Belgorod said on Monday has ordered the evacuation of residents in the Belgorod region located on the border between Russia and Ukraine. This is the second evacuation zone in Russia after Ukraine deployed its army in Russia's Kursk region on August 6. Now, according to the officials, local residents are being evacuated by personal vehicles and buses arranged by the authorities. They are being accommodated in temporary accommodation in Kursk and safe zones around the area. Meanwhile, Belarus is also strengthening its southern border with Ukraine. Belarusian President Lukashenko has ordered the reinforcement of forces in areas bordering Ukraine's Kiev and Chernihiv regions. Patients in England with severe beta-lactasemia will be amongst the first in Europe to benefit from gene editing therapy. This new therapy could stop patients from relying on frequent blood transfusions and could thus significantly improve their quality of life. More in the following story.
Roanna Maharaj has thalassemia, a genetic condition that makes it difficult for her body to produce a protein in red blood cells that helps carry oxygen. For the past 35 years, she has needed blood transfusions every few weeks to stay alive. Now, Rona's life could be improved thanks to a new gene-editing therapy approved by the UK's National Health Service.
Life expectancy in the UK for patients like myself are not that great compared to the general population, so you're looking at 30s and 40s. And now to see that the younger generation probably won't have to go through the burdens that I did and the battles I had, and might have a normal life early on.
The treatment uses CRISPR technology, which edits faulty genes in a patient's stem cells. The edited genes allow red blood cells to carry oxygen around the body. The treatment costs more than $2 million but is being offered to the UK's National Health Service at a reduced cost. In the future, it could also be used to treat sickle cell disease, improving the lives of many more people.
Now let's move on to the weather forecast. That's all the news we have for this hour. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app or check out our YouTube channel, VTV for Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.